The closest betrayal, I found videos on my dad's phone of him with my girlfriend, the girl I was planning to propose to next month. I wish I could tell you I misread what I saw. I wish I could tell you it was someone who just looked like her. But I heard her voice. I heard her laugh. That specific laugh she only made when she was comfortable, when she felt completely safe. I'd spent 3 years memorizing that laugh. And it was coming out of my father's bedroom speaker at 2 in the morning while he slept 4 feet away from me, completely unaware that his entire world was about to detonate. Let me back up. My dad raised me alone from the time I was 7 years old. My mom left and she didn't look back, and he never made me feel like that was a wound worth bleeding over. He worked doubles at the plant, showed up to every single one of my games, learned how to braid hair from a YouTube video when I had a sister's recital to attend on his behalf. He was my blueprint for what a man was supposed to be. I modeled everything after him. My work ethic, the way I treated people, the way I loved. He was my best friend. I need you to understand that before you understand anything else. When I brought Cassandra home for the first time, he shook her hand and then pulled her into a hug and said, "Anyone who makes my son look like that is family already." She blushed. I nearly cried. I thought it was perfect. I thought I had built something real. I had the ring. I'd been paying on it for 4 months, a cushion-cut solitaire in a white gold band, because she'd pointed at something similar in a magazine once and then pretended she hadn't. I knew. I always paid attention. The proposal was set for her birthday, the rooftop restaurant downtown, the whole thing choreographed in my head 100 times. I was so sure. The first thing I noticed was his phone. My dad never smiled at his phone. He texted like it was a chore, 2 thumbs, full words, no emojis. Then one evening I walked into the kitchen and he was leaning against the counter, grinning at his screen like a teenager, and when he heard me, he flipped it face down so naturally that I almost didn't notice. Almost. I filed it somewhere in the back of my mind and told myself he was seeing someone. I told myself I was happy for him. I told myself a lot of things. Then Cassandra started canceling on me. Not dramatically, not with obvious lies, just vague. Tired. Headache. Work stuff. Each excuse was plausible enough on its own. Together, they formed a shape I didn't want to look at directly. And then there were the jokes. I'd mention something at dinner and she'd say, "Oh, that's so funny, your dad said something similar," and laugh in a way that had a history behind it I hadn't been part of. I asked her once when she'd been talking to my dad. She said they texted sometimes. She said it casually, like it was nothing. Like I was the strange one for asking. I should have trusted my gut then. I should have torched the whole thing the second it started feeling wrong. But I loved her, and I trusted him. Those 2 facts paralyzed me completely. The night I looked at his phone, he'd fallen asleep in the recliner during the game. His phone buzzed and slid off the armrest and landed screen up on the floor, and I glanced down before I could stop myself and I saw her name. I told myself I was just confirming nothing was wrong. I told myself I was being paranoid. I picked up his phone and opened the thread. I'm not going to describe every message. I can't. What I will tell you is that they had been together for 7 months. 7 months. I counted backward and realized it had started 2 months after I introduced them. I kept scrolling because I couldn't stop, the same way you can't pressing a bruise. And then I found the folder. And inside the folder were the videos. The moment I pressed play is the moment my life split into 2 halves. Before and after. The visuals destroyed me, but it was the sound that finished me off completely. Her voice, her specific laugh, the one I'd memorized. Coming out of a room I'd grown up in, attached to a man I'd built my entire sense of self around. I sat on that living room floor for a long time. He kept sleeping. I kept staring at nothing. I woke him up. I showed him his own phone. I watched his face move through denial and then calculation, and then something that looked almost like relief, like he was tired of carrying it. He said she had come on to him first. He said he should have shut it down, but she was persistent and he was lonely, and it got out of hand. He actually used the phrase, "got out of hand," about a 7-month affair with his son's girlfriend. He reached for my shoulder, and I stepped back, and something between us broke so completely that I could feel the air change. I drove to her apartment. She answered the door, and I could see it on her face immediately. She already knew. He'd already texted her. She didn't even attempt remorse. She stood there in the doorway and said that my dad was more of a man than I would ever be, and she said it with so much calm conviction that for one horrible second, I believed her. Then I left. The ring sat in my dresser drawer for 2 weeks before I could look at it. I moved my things out of my apartment into a friend's spare room without telling him why. I told my friends we broke up and left it at that. I told no one the actual truth. How do you say those words out loud? How do you arrange them into a sentence that another person has to hear? I couldn't, so I carried it alone, and it sat in my chest like something radioactive. The final piece came 3 months later through a mutual friend. Apparently, Cassandra had known about my dad before she ever met me. They'd crossed paths at some bar event, exchanged numbers, and when nothing moved forward fast enough, she'd found her way to me on purpose. I was a door. I was the most direct route to the man she actually wanted. Every date we went on, every night she stayed, every time she let me believe I was building something real. She was maintaining access. They're together now, publicly. I've seen the pictures. I still have the ring. I don't know why. Some nights I think I keep it to remind myself that I'm capable of loving something that completely. Other nights I think I keep it because throwing it away means accepting that this story is real and not something my brain manufactured in a nightmare I haven't woken up from yet. I haven't spoken to my father in almost a year. Drop your story below. The worst betrayals always come from the people closest to you.